the Steelers are the biggest losers of free agency, and it's not close. And people get excited. Okay, DK Metcalf is here. Okay, Darius Slay is here. I like Darius Slay and bringing him on. That's great. Outside of that, I think it's ridiculous. And here's why. You don't have a starting running back. You don't have a run game to support your quarterback. Your offensive line is below average. You don't have a quarterback, but don't worry, you have two deep threats. You have George Pickens and DK Metcalf. The defense is always fantastic until the playoffs arrive, and they've allowed 38.8 points per game in their last 5 playoff games. So I'm wondering, even if they bring Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson in, they have no protection, they have no run game to rely on, and they have 2 receivers that specialize in the same department. Not to mention they pay DK $130 million over 5 years. So you brought this up last week, Deshaun, and I thought it was incredible in that the Steelers have been so mediocre for so long now. They couldn't win with Big Ben, AB, Le'Veon Bell. They tried to reproduce a similar system now where they throw the fade and they just run the ball on the ground, but they don't got a running back, they don't got an O-line, and they consistently produce 10-7, 9-8 seasons. Steelers fans can buckle up and expect another 9-8, 10-7 season where they get knocked out in the wild card round. It's absolutely embarrassing.
But that's great though, because then that would mean another winning season for Mike Tomlin, and like that's
Exactly.
that's why the Steelers are in the National Football League. They don't want Super Bowls, they don't want conference championship appearances. They want to have a winning season so they can go and tell other teams, "Hey guys, we had another winning season." You went and got DK Metcalf. Great, awesome. He is probably 4 or 5 years older, like he's just an older version of George Pickens. Right down to their attitude. This looks really good on paper until either DK or George Pickens are not getting the ball. And then what happens? Not only do you have to worry about George Pickens' attitude, but now you have to worry about DK. You now have to feed 2 guys on offense. And that would be fine if you had someone to throw them the ball. Who's throwing them the ball? Who's throwing them the ball? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? I guess we'll see how that works. Maybe it's Russell Wilson, but I don't even think it is a quarterback issue in Pittsburgh right now. That play calling reminds me of the play calling when I was playing Pee Wee football like 25 years ago. I have never seen that many halfback tosses in 2025. Like, what are we doing? And then it's just the same play action rollout, George Pickens on a deep post. It is the most, it's so predictable. And in football, predictability is death. Predictability is death. I just do not understand it. And again, getting Darius Slay, again, it sounds great. This is what the Steelers are about. They are about sounding great instead of being great. Darius Slay is 34 years old and he plays corner. He is going to be barbecue chicken next year. He is going to be bad. But again, it might win them a game. He's probably going to have a great week 1 or 2, get an interception, seal a game, and Pittsburgh fans are going to say, "We're back, we're going to the Super Bowl." And then it's going to be week 14 and they're going to realize that they're still a shitty team.
Well, and you know what? I fell prisoner to this last year, and, I haven't really covered the Steelers too closely until now, but around week 7, I was like, wow, they look pretty good. Like, Russ, Mike Tomlin, they're finally stringing things together. I was like, okay. And then I think Christmas break hit or somewhere around there, and they just plateaued. And then they started declining, and it was like, defenses finally figured out the one thing that they do well, which was throw the fade ball and then rely on the run game for the entirety of the game. And listen, we've talked about Aaron Rodgers last year. We'll talk about him to conclude the episode. It wasn't an absolute gong show. It was definitely underwhelming, but his big issue was the protection in New York, especially for a 40-plus-year-old veteran, just wasn't good enough. Right? If Brady had that, it would have been brutal too. at some point when you get old, you just can't move and you need the protection. So you bring him into Pittsburgh, whether it's Russ or Aaron Rodgers, no protection. Jaylen Warren is their starting running back as of today. Not saying that Najee was a massive upgrade. He's only hit 1,000 yards in the last 4 seasons because that's all they do. And then you have receivers that are pretty much one-trick ponies. Now, DK's great. He would have fit a lot better maybe in Los Angeles with the Chargers, but this just isn't it.